Let's talk about an article I read about public school enrollment, because it's one of the clearest examples of what happens in a free country when an institution starts acting like parents don't have choices. We'll continue with the amendments next time. This one really touched a nerve. As a retired public school teacher, one of the biggest complaints in public education was class size. Teachers wanted class size reduction. Parents wanted class size reduction. Even the kids wanted class size reduction. So you'd think declining enrollment would be treated like a win. Fewer kids should mean smaller classes. In theory. But watch what actually happens. When enrollment drops, districts don't celebrate. They panic. Because public school funding is largely per pupil. So fewer students doesn't just mean fewer desks. It means fewer dollars. And that forces districts into the decisions nobody wants to talk about. Closures, consolidations, cuts, layoffs. And then the state steps in with what they literally call hold harmless policies. That means don't let the district feel the consequences of families leaving. Read that again. Families are sending a message, and the system's response is to cushion itself from the message. Now, why are families leaving? Because parents are looking for things public schools often struggle to deliver consistently: safety and order, higher academic expectations, transparent curriculum, values alignment, real accountability, and flexibility. COVID poured gasoline on it because it forced parents to see the system up close. It normalized alternatives. It proved that families could homeschool. It proved that private options were possible. And once people learn they have options, a lot of them don't go back to being treated like they don't. This is one of the greatest strengths of capitalism and a free market. People have choices, and those choices decide which industries flourish and which ones become obsolete. If you serve people well, they stay. If you ignore them, they leave. Now here's the parallel. Look at New York. So many high earners have left that leaders are publicly asking them to come back. Think about how upside down that is. For years, the vibe was, if you don't like it, there's the door. And now the door is exactly what people used. Because when government institutions act like they have a captive audience, they stop behaving like they need to earn trust. They stop listening. They stop adjusting. They stop respecting the people who fund the whole operation. And then they act shocked when the tax base shrinks. Public schools in New York are the same story in two different arenas. When you treat taxpayers like they're trapped, the ones who can move will move. When you treat parents like they're trapped, the ones who can exit will exit. And then the same institutions that ignored them start begging. Come back. We need you. We can't fund this without you. And that's the point. In a free country, people don't have to accept whatever the system decides to do to them. They can vote with their feet. And if your institution only listens when the money walks out the door, you don't have a public service problem. You have a respect problem. Now, here's the part people don't like to say out loud. A lot of the education establishment has incentives that don't line up with what's best for U.S. citizen kids. Smaller class sizes are great for students, but smaller class sizes also mean fewer positions, fewer aides, fewer support roles, fewer hires. So when you see public schools and teachers' unions reliably backing policies that keep student counts high, yes, including illegal immigration, you should understand the incentive. More students means more funding. More funding means more jobs. That includes bilingual aides, translation services, and entire layers of staffing built around the needs of non-English speaking families. And if those students leave, the system doesn't just lose a diversity talking point, it loses payroll. Meanwhile, the parents who don't want their kids exposed to government-sanctioned indoctrination are leaving too. So the system isn't just losing students. It's losing the families who demand transparency and accountability. And instead of asking, what are we doing that's driving people out? They ask, how do we keep the money from following the child? And this is exactly why school choice matters. School choice is leverage. It's the ability for families to take their child and their education dollars and choose an option that matches their values and actually works for their kid. That's why Trump has been such a strong advocate for school choice. He's focused on giving families the freedom to find an education that aligns with their values. Meanwhile, the state and the education bureaucracy are focused on protecting the status quo. Even when disappearing students are screaming that parents want something different. So call it what it is. Public schools versus choice. And the reckoning has started.